There is a Southern revival awakening in our great nation. We are here to highlight the makers, creators, chefs, and communities revitalizing the traditions of Southern food, local cuisine, and craftsmanship. Welcome to the South in Your Mouth podcast.
Hey guys, it's us again. Hey, it's Kevin with 441 South.
Cameron with Southern Cinch Hot Sauce.
And tonight we got,
Paul from Agnelli's Meat Market over in Canton.
we look forward to this. I met Paul, I don't know, close to a year ago, I guess. Probably about a year ago. Paul's not just a butcher like he is. He's got an unbelievable story. So Paul, how did we get here?
It's a sordid tale. We were going to go to, went to school up at Boston College, graduated, was planning on going to law school. And end of the summer's coming around. I'm just like, my sister got into law school. I was just thinking that was the path and didn't want to. And I just have always loved cooking. Everyone in the family kind of cooks. Told my folks. Dad wasn't exactly thrilled. But I applied up to Johnson & Wales. They're on a rolling admission.
Mm-hmm.
Actually drove up Connecticut for my sister's wedding. Was driving home. This is back when you had to call an answering machine and repeat the messages. And they were like, "Hey, you've been accepted. It's Friday. Be here Monday."
Wow.
And I came up and literally got home, packed, drove up, and I'd already graduated from BC. So I got an associate's in culinary arts in 2 years, and then just started working. And a buddy of mine from high school was down in Atlanta. I worked the summer up there in Newport, and he was like, "Come on down. I got 2 bedrooms, and Atlanta's amazing." And I was like, all right, what else am I going to do? And I came down, and I was telling you guys earlier, I went out, put resumes out there, and by the time I got home, Buckhead Life had called me and set up an interview, and I actually interviewed with Pano, thinking I'm going to be a sous chef, but you're going to be about an $8 an hour line cook.
That's right.
But hey, he took the time to interview, and it was great. And I started at 103 West, and there was just so much talent in that company, in that restaurant. And it just surrounded by people that are going to make you better, and it did, and it was great. Left there after about 2 years to help a buddy out for a few months. Came back when they announced that Kevin Rathman was coming back to open Nava. That's right when the Southwest craze was just starting to fire up, and they were like, "This is the guy." You need to come get a job with this guy. This is the guy. And so, went in looking for my sous chef job, which again didn't materialize. But again, tons of talent. I was telling you, we did a party right before we opened called Friends of Kevin, and it was literally his friends. It was Mark Miller, Stephen Piles, and Bobby Flay were his 3 buddies.
Holy cow.
Yeah, kind of the. And it's their sous chefs. They all came in, they all did a course, and I'm in the kitchen just like, this is unreal. And Nava was an amazing experience opening, but just working there and kept working in Buckhead Life, got a sous chef job, and moved up and ended up at Van Gogh's. Chris Sedgwick was looking for someone, and I guess he called Kevin, and Kevin recommended me. I ended up there. So I was there almost 3 years to the day, and then went from there to Capitol Grill down in Buckhead with Rare Hospitality, and really fell in love with the meat cutting. If you don't have a meat cutter, you're the meat cutter. And I mean, there's days when you're cutting 4 cases of tenderloins, cleaning and cutting, and we did our own dry aging. So that was. I just loved cutting meat and doing that and everything that kind of surrounded it. So that's kind of when the seed got planted for a meat market and butcher shop. And I've been through a few things since then. I ended up with Country Club of the South as their chef, and then was brought up to Pinehurst by the gentleman who brought me into Country Club of the South. He went up to Pinehurst and brought me up there as kind of a hybrid position. As I told him, I was like, "Listen, make this position up, and I'll control your front of the house and back of the house." Because I did have an interest in the front as well. And he's like, I said, "Give me an extra sous chef, give me an extra manager on the floor." And he did. Did a $5 million renovation on the country club up there. And he said, here, it's a blank canvas. And they let me rewrite all the training procedures, the wine list, the menus, and I was up there for the back-to-back U.S. Opens in 2014.
Oh, cool.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
And it's a neat place. We didn't love it for we had Parker, my one son, and then we just had Preston when we were up there, and didn't love the schooling as much as we did down here. So again, we called down, and where he had been in school, they were like, "We got one slot open. School starts in a few weeks." I was like, "Take it. We're moving back." And I felt bad. We had been leasing our house, and we were about to sell it to the people leasing our house. That's what I said. So good news, bad news. I said, that's actually just bad news. I need the house back in 30 days.
Oh, wow.
So I'm still friends with him. They actually found another place and whatnot. So back we came, and ended up, I love the golf course, the country clubs and that. So I went to White Columns, and then I ended up as general manager over at Atlanta National. And
So work at Atlanta National.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's it's beautiful, beautiful track. And it was a neat experience, but that whole time I was kind of, Kristen, my wife, and I, we were always looking for a location, because I knew it's like, you got Wilkes and you got Ferguson's way up on 369. I was like, why are we driving 45 minutes either way to these places? Even, the new Wilkes ball ground. I'm like, why are we driving so far? Why isn't there something like this closer? And so we were looking 3 years before we found the location. And Marcus was one of the owners of Union Hill Grill at the time. He somehow moved in 2 doors down from me. So we became friends. He calls me up one day and says, "Hey, the corner unit's going to open up in December. Do you want it?" And I literally called the property management company before it even hit the market and got it. And here we are 3 years later.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's, pardon me, that's the story.
That's awesome.
Part of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I started out my first restaurant job. I was 15, was at Atlanta National.
Yep.
Working for Leonard Tate.
Yep. Leonard was there when I was there.
Leonard was a hell of a man.
He was a fixture there. He was that's crazy. You talk to anybody in the last 30 years that's been Atlanta National, they're going to know Leonard.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So. Absolutely.
He was he definitely taught me a lot about front of the house.
So I feel like Cherokee County is full of Johnson and Wells graduates. Like I can't believe how lucky we are to have a lot of them. Like you got Zach Kell over at Queenie's,
Sure.
Going Coastal. We got you. There's several others, and then you've got a lot of CIA graduates around.
CIAs.
You got Justin.
Yep.
Justin graduated from CIA.
Frack is CIA, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, frickin' Frack. I mean, not that I hold a candle to any of them, but I mean, it's just neat to see the talent that we have of restaurateurs, chefs, and butcher shops here in Cherokee County. We don't know how lucky we are sometimes. So with that, Paul, what is if somebody first time walking into your restaurant, into your butcher, into your shop, what are you going to steer them towards? They're like, hey, we're first time in. What are you going to steer them towards?
It's funny because I'm still getting, we've been open a little over 2 years, and every day it's like, well, it's first time in. And what I realized was, I know you were here. You guys just opened? I said, it's been a little over 2 years now. They're like, I drive by here every day. Like, well, look to the left. What am I going to steer them towards? I'm going to steer them towards, everyone knows a filet ribeye and a strip.
Right.
Super proud of our fillets. Just they're really marbled fillets. They're gorgeous. All our steaks, actually, our marbling is great. But our pork chops, brined, then needled and larded, and we cut them, it's a serious chop, to the point where people say, can you cut that in half? I can. I don't want to, but I can, but and they're phenomenal, and they literally need salt and pepper, but you almost can't dry them out. We gave them to my buddy's wife, and she didn't dry them out, so we don't think that they can be dried out. That's
You hear that, Maggie?
That was our benchmark.
New challenge.
So Christine, Mark told me to say that. But the neat thing is, pork the next day is usually dry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's still crazy moist, and the flavor is great. So I steer them to the pork chops. We also do outside skirt, and it's I can't rave enough about it. It's one of my favorite things in there. It's just so the flavor's crazy. I mean, I'll sit there and we'll throw it on the grill, and I'll be out there just like picking it, like burning my fingers, and Kristen's inside like banging on the window, like bring it in. So
save some for the rest of us.
it really depends on what people are looking for. You know, we have the grab and go cooler, where I really like to do a lot of like the Italian things. Like try to keep like true Italian things. You know, like a true bolognese sauce, not like a meat sauce, you know, but like a true, you know, 4 to 6 hour cook time on that. And then we talked about the filet stroganoff, and I go through so much of that. Like I didn't realize that cooler was going to be such a focus point. Like we sell so many grab and go meals, which makes sense. There's a lot of people with kids and such, and they need something quick. Our desserts, you know, we do our own desserts there. It really depends on what are you kind of in the mood for. And usually if it's steak, they're going to, you know, do I want a strip or a ribeye? I don't know. You know, what do you normally eat? But it's more of a walk them through procedure and kind of see where they're going. You know, I got you. If we have something special, like right now, I was telling you, I had to cut a ton of porterhouses for a function. And so obviously my byproduct of that is I'm getting, you know, 2 gorgeous Kansas City strips off of each short loin, bone-in strips, and they're gorgeous. So now I've got all these fat, like the Kansas City strips, and I'm like, you want a great steak? It's right here. Or if I had a special one week, and I got really lucky. They were bone-in, prime, dry-aged filet. It was like the trifecta, like the holy grail of fillets, you know, to get a bone.
Speaking your language, Cam.
Yep.
Now they're tough to find.
Oh yeah, they are. And
then to have a prime, which is really tough to find a prime fillet, and then it's dry aged on top of that.
Oh
they were just out of this world. So, so I've actually, you know, dry aging can be very polarizing. You're either on board with it, or you're like, that reeks. I can't. I don't want anything to do with that. But I'm finding more and more people up here really enjoy that. So might be my next venture is putting like a dry age cooler right in one of the front windows. And
that'd be cool.
You know,
that would be
because we dry aged everything, you know, ourselves at Capitol Grill. So you get used to doing it, and I like the flavor. I like what it does to it. But we also do, you know, we wet age all our steaks. And people will ask, you know, well, what's the difference between your meat and the grocery store's meat? And I'm like, well, there's a few differences. I said the big difference is a lot of them will cut them green. As soon as they come in, they're cutting them. We don't touch our stuff for 30 days. Give it good wet aging. It really concentrates that flavor. It does tenderize it. I think it gives us a really nice product there. So, which gets a little tricky when you're dealing with 2 double door coolers. But
I was fixing to say, man, how do you do that? Like I have a walk in, and we used to do that when we were running a food truck. We would get briskets in a couple of weeks ahead of time. We were constantly rotating through them, but I just don't know how. Hang on, our technical assistant is hung up on. There we go.
Awesome.
Oh, yay. But sorry about that. We're training tonight.
Yeah.
So but yeah, we used to do that all the time. And then as you get them in, and that's one thing that I would always get upset about. Like they would send you cases of briskets that were green as could be. Oh. And you know, you can't use them. You can't cook them. Yep. They're not good. Yep. They're not going to be good off the smoker. They're going to be, it just takes a lot.
Yep.
So no, I'm with you there. The wet aging.
You're saying green as can be. You don't mean the color green. You mean they're
just fresh.
New, yeah.
They're super fresh.
Yeah.
We don't serve green briskets. Trust me.
That's fine. Sure. I want to make sure everyone understood that difference there.
And also, I understand completely what you mean. A wet aged steak is probably, I sometimes you prefer it over a dry aged. I mean, it depends on what you're used to. I mean,
the way you're cooking with it too,
and what steakhouse you're going to. Like I always laugh when I see it. You know, Paul, you go into a restaurant and you see they have their prime cuts, they have their wet aged cuts, and then they have their dry aged.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, it's going to be between the prime and the dry aged, because I mean, a wet aged is pretty much a step above what you would get at a grocery store.
Right.
I mean, it's a butcher shop cut but you're not going to find that at a Publix or whatever unless you buy it, vac seal it, and let it do its thing at home.
And how long did they wet age it?
That's right.
Like, is it wet age or did it come in the crack?
That's right.
And boom.
That's right.
That's very true.
If it comes in cryovac, doesn't necessarily mean it's been wet aged.
Yeah, this thing
12
hours. Here we go.
But yeah, so I understand what you mean by that. But you're doing more than just a butcher shop over there. You got some cool sandwiches going on, some grab and go sandwiches and stuff.
Yep, all the sandwiches. Right now, they're all hot, made to order, and they have absolutely exploded over the I don't know, the last 4 to 6 weeks. We got a real good write up on social media, and then it got followed up the next day by somebody that I don't think believed the hype. And so they came in, and boy, he came on and just blew us up in a great way. I mean, he couldn't. He said, God smiled down upon me, and he liked it. And the next, that was Saturday night, and Monday, the floodgates opened.
That's awesome.
And it's been nonstop, and it's not, that write-up was really centered around the Cubans, which have blown up. But honestly, on any given day, it might be the Reuben, which, that's just organically grown. The people have been talking about that. Might be the Philly. And we talked about it earlier. It's really the beginning of those sandwiches is the bread. You got to have the right bread.
Right.
And when you got the best roll for it, you got the best bread for it, and then you put just quality ingredients on it, you're going to get a great sandwich. And we're not doing anything too crazy, but like we do make the corned beef ourselves. The meatball parm, it's my meatball recipe that we do sell meatballs there, but it's my small batch marinara that I make once or twice a week. It's the green chili pork that goes on the Cuban. Which I think is a little different than yours.
Yeah, I use more of a mojo
Yeah.
than I would a green chili, but I love the green chili. Yeah,
I do too. It's it just gives it a little extra different bite, I should say. So then we had cheeseburgers. So I'm like, we had cheeseburgers, and I was like, well, if I got cheeseburgers, then I can do a smash burger.
Yeah.
I've got cheeseburgers and Reubens. I can do a patty melt. So we added those. So
That's awesome.
we just try to add, specials. Once we get what we're doing correct, then we add another one or two. And if one or two of them are a hit, then boom, they just add them to the menu. We just got a big chalkboard. The wall is all chalkboard paint, and that's our menu.
That's
And,
awesome.
the funny thing is people, I'm like, tell me what you want.
Yeah.
Same thing with the grab and go cooler, with the pastas and things like that. If you want something, tell me, I'll make it. And then I'll make 15 of them and I'll sell them. And so I love when people come in and say, well, can you do this?
Give me a day.
I can take a shot at it.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
be
awesome.
right, and it'll taste good.
So you doing burgers too?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Burgers, we do we do an 8-ounce cheeseburger, and we got a bacon fat infused bun, which is tight. And we do 2 4-ounce smash burgers with the house sauce, pickles, and caramelized onions. Then we do a patty melt.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah. Right.
I know. I mean, like you said, like that area needed something like that, and you're fulfilling that need. Like you're jumping in there, and you're fortunate. You got Woodmont right there. You've got a lot of large neighborhoods right around you
a
that
lot
are,
that you don't know
Yeah.
are there. And it's nice, there are a lot of good markets out there, and we're kind of spaced out. If
Yep.
you look at us, spaced out nicely. So I don't think we're really cannibalizing off each other. I think if anything, we're, I can't get to here, but I'm right here, and people are going to have their favorites, and I get it. And, I think one of the things when I started, I'm thinking, 2-3 months, I'm going to have this huge clientele, after I build it up. And that's that's really not the timetable when you build clientele. It takes a while.
Yeah.
And, the thought going in was I wanted to be a neighborhood butcher, and I wanted to know names. And I told my staff, I'm like, you need to learn people's names when they're coming in, if they're coming in multiple times. And they do. And it's great when we see people once or twice a week. And it takes a while to build that up. And that's what we're doing. And we're seeing it more and more. And so that's one of the really exciting things about being there.
I totally agree. You were talking about that earlier. You were like, hey, people are coming by like, never knew you were here. I still get that, and I've been here 6 years. Like I've been here 6 years, ran a food truck a couple of years, and I still get people like, how long have you been here? Like I've never noticed you over here and all. So I get it and all. And I'm still considered the new barbecue place in Canton. Don't know why. But yeah, it's something. So Paul, if you're cooking at home, what are you going? What's your go-to? What does your family crave?
Well, my 15-year-old has decided he likes fillets.
Okay.
And apparently now he also likes like king crab. And I'm like, do you want me to
The
stuff it
finer,
with lobster?
yeah.
You want me to take the most expensive thing on the menu and stuff it with the second most expensive? But again, he's 15. He's in marching band with the tenor drums,
Mhm.
and they're way more than he does. And now he's about to go into wrestling. So he's eating everything he can. I was like, I had to open a meat market just to feed the kid. And then I got my 10-year-old who eats anything really cheese related, cheese bun, cheese pizza, Cheetos. I'm like, we got to expand your palate a little bit, guy. Because Dad can cook a little, and we're getting him there. It's but I don't know if I have any like one go-to thing. I mean, if I'm eating, make me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I'm going to be in heaven.
I eat plenty of those every week.
But we like to do steaks, and I like doing steaks out on the egg over charcoal. Like steak over charcoal in your backyard is one of the best things you can.
It can't be beat.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I like to do simple pastas, and it'll usually come from if I have something extra hanging around, or like some shrimp or something. If I had to break a 2-pound bag, I got a pound of shrimp. Yeah, do something like that. Can't eat it every day, but I do love pasta. So I should have known you were going to ask me, what do you love to cook at home? And people always ask me, what's your favorite thing to cook? And I'm like, whatever's in front of me at the time. I don't.
All right. So
Give me
with
a
that,
challenge.
you were saying that growing up, your family loved to cook.
Sure.
So what's that one meal that takes you back home?
I would say like the meatballs and just the sauce,
Mhm.
but there's kind of a caveat there because my 2 grandmothers both had different sauces, very different styles.
Okay.
They were different flavors.
Okay.
And they were both Italian grandmothers. I couldn't walk in the house without them sitting me down and feeding me, which is great, but very different styles. And so I kind of have taken my sauce from a mixture of the 2 of them and different things that they did that picked up flavors and things like that. Same thing, and with the sauce, my mother would always make meatballs and usually spare ribs, and those would go in the sauce. Whereas now I don't put mine in the sauce. I cook mine separate. But my meatball recipe took years of trying to figure out. One of my, again, I keep referencing a good buddy from home, and his mother was an insane cook. And so when I would just always go over and just watch her, and then, well, what did you do here? What did you do here? And so I got a lot of, little tips and things from her. And so after all these different influences coming at me, I've kind of come up with, now I've got my sauce and I've got my meatballs, and that's the kind of thing that's going to take me back to
Memory lane. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I do too. I mean, I don't know. Here lately, I've been on this pasta kick, like meatballs, stuff like that. Like son. I get it. I get it. So originally, where are you from? You from Boston?
I'm from Toronto.
Okay.
And moved down to Naples, Florida when I was about 6.
Okay.
And grew up down in Naples, and my parents are still there. And then I went to school in Boston, and then been in Atlanta since. With a quick stint in Pinehurst.
Very cool.
Easy enough.
Yep.
So how I met Paul was our Gordon rep used to work with Paul. I guess. What was Josh besides crazy?
Arrogant.
And that too. And I'm sure he's watching right now. I haven't seen him pop up.
I can't speak highly enough of Josh. He came to me when I was at Capitol Grill, and he was working, I think, at Longhorn. And I needed, a grill guy, and he called up, and they supported him moving up. And I said, well, can you run a grill, or I can do anything. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to be Great. So yeah, come on in because I don't have enough headaches. Come on in. So I brought him in, and I tell you what, though, he's loyal. He is crazy hardworking.
Yes.
And he's talented. I don't know if you've probably never had anything he's cooked.
No.
He could cook left, right, and center. So I brought Josh with me to 2 or 3 different places, and he shined at all of them because he's a great cook. And then Josh got married and decided he didn't need the 2 a.m., the 1 a.m. nights, and he wanted to. So he got into the sales part of things. And as a sales rep, and I'm sure you can attest to it, Josh will do anything and everything. If it's Friday night and something wasn't on your order, he's driving around Atlanta. He's going to find it, whether it's getting it from another customer or going somewhere to getting it. He's going to find what you need and make sure that it's right. So yeah, that's Josh. And as I said, I'll bust his stones, but I can't speak highly enough of him.
I agree with that. We're still having technical difficulties over here. I'm watching both. So it's his first night running the board. So forgive us, guys. We're not trying to make y'all drunk from switching back and forth.
We've all been there.
If anybody has epilepsy, please don't watch. We're gonna. I promise. No, I'm joking. So I mean, with all of that, I know you got kids.
Yep.
Community's a big thing. You've lived in Woodmont, like you have that backing of the community, which that's one thing Cam and I are big into. What is if you have to go eat out somewhere and you don't have to name just one spot, like what's your go-to? Like you don't have to name a restaurant. If y'all are going out to eat, you and your wife or you and your family, what kind of meal are y'all going to look for?
So, and I'm going to take this answer a little maybe different direction, and I'll come back to maybe the direction you were thinking. But we're going out of town this weekend for a friend's wedding.
Okay.
A friend's son's wedding. And everyone's going up like early, and the group of guys are all golfing. And so they're like, you coming in Friday? And I was like, well, actually, we're going to stop in Charlotte, have like kind of a date night thing. But I'm found a restaurant. It's called The Counter, and it's really cool. It's basically like 16 seats in a U shape at a counter with all of the cooking done in the middle.
Wow,
and it's, I think, either 14, 16 courses. And it's just it's supposed to be a phenomenal experience. And it's funny, the same person's daughter got married, I think, earlier in the year or late last year in Nashville. And we went to a place up there, I think called the Catbird Seat. It's almost the exact same thing. And you've got the chef in there, and there's probably 8-10 guys back there, and they're all part of the show, and they're all doing everything. You finish a course, they come over, they replace your flatware, they replace new, and then they're explaining it. And the one guy comes over, it's not the chef, and he's like, your next course is going to be this duck, and he's holding it. He goes, that was aged for 60 days in brown butter. And it's literally packed in a thing of brown butter.
Oh, man.
And you're just like, well, can we do like an add-on and have more of that? And so restaurants like that, I think are a blast. Like it's an experience. And we love doing stuff like that.
Like a gun show.
Like a gun show. And I haven't been to gun show, and that's exactly something like that.
Okay.
We like to, around here, it's really supporting local, and it depends what we're in the mood for. We'll go over to Queenie's a lot. Or going coastal because they do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're getting when you go in, and it's that kind of thing. We'll go over to and sit at the bar at J. Michael Prime.
Yep.
And a lot of the times we just like sitting at the bar where people watching and just we don't even have to have a big meal. It's more the experience, and the boys are at an age now where they can be at home. So we can actually just go out, and it's on Friday night. She's had a long week. I've had a long week, and we just get to wind down, hang out, catch up with each other, and
awesome.
Have a glass of wine or something like that. And those are the kind of meals. And we like to try new ones. It's not a lot of going back to the same places. It's what's new, what are we hearing about things, and what can we try, and stuff like that. So anything new, we'll get out there and see what it's going. And one of them, tickles our fancy, then we'll go back. But
I think you're right on that though. Like if you're going out on a date, and Cam can attest to this, and go to a J. Michael's or go to Little Alley's. You don't have to eat a full meal there. Get a couple of appetizers. Get something. It's the atmosphere. It's partaking. It's supporting a local business and stuff like that. But it's also you get the atmosphere. You get a quality meal, whether it is a tomahawk for two or something like that. You don't have to get that.
No. I mean, that's like, Brittany and I, we went to Roberto's Deluxe the other day or a couple weekends ago. Phenomenal seafood. We just got a bunch of appetizers.
Yeah.
And then between each appetizer would come and be like, all right, bring 6 more oysters. 6 more oysters.
Right?
Just keep them coming.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because we don't get out much. So it's usually Mexican if we go somewhere, which I think that's
Nothing
a good.
wrong with that.
Yeah, there's
Good
nothing
Mexican.
wrong with some good Mexican.
Wrong with that.
I'm just reading some of the comments. People are upset about the duck because we have somebody that watches it that comes in here and eats. His name's Duck. He's like, just say no to the duck. But a 60-day aged duck in brown butter sounds unbelievable.
What you have to say is like, can the guy in the middle tone the head down?
No, I got it. I got it angled just right. You can't see the blur, the glare. I promise. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I know Cam's the same way. And you were talking about your pork chops. Like I'm sitting there thinking, is it too late when I get home to cook that pork chop? Like I'm serious. Like right now I'm on a pork chop kick. I don't know what it is. It sells good. Like, and some people don't like them. I think they're fearful that they're going to be dried out.
That's what we get when people ask. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I don't do pork. It dries out. And I was like, if it dries out, bring it back. Bring the bone back and I'll buy it back from you.
Yeah.
And I've yet to have a problem with them. I've been trying to find a source for the Iberico pork. Seeing that like the flank or something like that, skirt like that just looks amazing. And I can't.
Some of those the short ribs, the pork short ribs like that. It's so good.
Yeah.
So Snake River Farms does some. No, they do Carabuta, the Carabuta pork, which is kind of similar to the Iberica.
They make good. They make a nice product.
They do.
Board.
It's a pricey product, but
I wasn't going to say. We have Snake River people listening, but yeah, they're proud of it. But again, if you're going to be expensive, at least live up to it.
Exactly.
And I think they do. I think they do a great job.
Things are expensive, especially these days. But if you're providing quality, and I know my shop's not the cheapest thing around, but again, I at least like to think I'm providing quality to live up to that. I think what I used to use is I used to say, wife and I used to love to go to Five Guys. You want to go to Five Guys and each have a burger and split a fries and a drink. And it's like
$60.
Yeah.
Now,
but I'd walk out thinking, man, that was great.
Yeah.
So I think expensive is relative as long as you got to provide that quality. Don't be expensive and then be expensive, provide the wow, and I think most people are okay with that.
I totally agree with that.
100%.
And all. So what's next for Agnelli's Meat Market? What are you working towards?
Retirement.
Long time down the road, guys.
Yeah.
I promise.
We're when I first about a year ago, I was thinking, what would be next? Do I want to? The ideas I've tossed around is, do I want to do like a small steakhouse?
Yeah,
I love steakhouses. Love steaks, and I love steakhouses. That's going to be a considerable investment if you're going to, that needs to be done right, I think. And that's not. We got Agnelli's up and running. Bless you. We got Agnelli's up and running with not a ton of money, and it was push, get open, start generating revenue. You're going to do a steakhouse, and honestly, the next thing we do, I want to make sure we do it right. Possibly another meat market. We've been looking for another location probably for the last year or so. I want it to be far enough away from this one and probably far enough away from the other one. So again, we're not cannibalizing each other. We're the business will be there. Possibly like a wood-fired pizza, and also wood-fired pizza and then kind of focus also on the sandwiches, because the sandwiches are big, and something like that doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be like a Pies on Post where it's a full restaurant and something like that.
Right.
And which I'm not dinging. I'm just saying it doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
I want something that probably counter service and just make an amazing pizza and amazing sandwiches and keep it as simple as possible. You know, when I think about opening a steakhouse, then we get into, well, now you're going to deal with service staff and things like that. And that's the nice thing about the meat market is I don't. And I'm not dinging service staff. If I ever open a restaurant, I'm not dinging you folks. But it's
a constant
between front of the house
turnover.
and back of the house. When you have both,
Yeah.
that's your drama starts.
Yep.
I've been
It's
doing
just
it
one
long
less
enough
thing to worry about. So.
And you got to worry about people not showing up, or
Yeah.
they showed up, they're not put together enough to work.
Yep.
You know, it is what it is. Not like I love all of that. We may have lost a service staff tonight.
Yep. Where's Haley?
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Oh man.
so this will be the next. Probably be another Agnelli's, and
I got you.
expanded a bit. We talked earlier about a smoker, something again on the end of a building where I could have get a full a deck out there, a concrete deck, when I can have a smoker and some picnic tables and things like that, and expand the inside. We're trying to. I mean, we played with a few things over at the market now, and as far as coolers and shelving and what works, and we've got it, I think, finally where it makes sense, where it's opened up. I mean, at one point we had the coolers in the front window, and you couldn't see out one of the front windows. We had back two and then back to back. Well, the desserts were up on the one by the window, and I could hear people over there, and then the next thing you hear, the dessert hit the floor,
Oh, no.
and then you hear some fooling around, and they come out, they don't have a dessert. And I'm like, you're not even to buy it. And, so then they leave, and I go over, and the dessert just smashed up into the bottom of the container.
Oh, man.
All right, we're gonna put the coolers back so I can see them. But now we do. They're against the sides. Now we have a bunch of shelves going through the middle. And the retail part is neat, especially when you get it towards the holidays. The things.
Oh, no doubt.
The almonds, the crackers, the vinegars, the oils, stuff like that. So if we opened another one, we'd probably expand just a little bit to where we could have maybe one extra cooler, meat cooler in there, display cooler. I would start out this time having the kitchen in. We put the kitchen in after about a year and a half, and I think that's when we met. I came in, I was telling you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
I was
Yeah.
like, I can't handle this anymore. They delayed it, and they said, "You guys pulled the wrong permit for my hoods." And the guy putting them in says, "Paul, I've been doing this 20 years. I've never had to pull that kind of permit, a building permit." And so they are jumping through every hoop they can. And this is going on for months.
Wow.
So now we get through the holidays, and it's costing me all that money, and still I can't get it. And so I'm like, send me the sheet. What's the problem? Well, half of the things were because of a solid fuel source, a wood burning oven. And I'm like, I don't have a wood burning oven. Why are you delaying this? So it finally gets figured out. They finally go to accept it. And the farmer says, "Well, that's not the right permit. You need the permit." Says, "You need the permit we
Oh,
originally
my
pulled."
gosh.
9 months earlier, and I was like, "Oh, I can't handle it." So
I'm
I
from
think
the
I would
government,
start out
and
with
I'm
the-
here to help.
I think I would start out with the kitchen in from day one as opposed to trying to put it in. But yeah, having the kitchen back there has really opened things up. As far as utilizing any byproduct and things like that, it helps. But it also helps now. I just get to cook, and that's one thing I didn't want to lose going into the market. I mean, I love cooking. If you ask me what I do on my time off, one of the things I love to do it's cooking. And people are like, "Well, we get together with friends." They're like, "Well, you don't have to be cooking the whole time." And I'm like, "Well, I like cooking.
That's what you do. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in the kitchen cooking, and everyone's kind of gathered around.
my
the
love
island,
language.
Yeah.
and that's the social area is hanging out there.
Well, you were talking about putting a patio in and smokers and stuff, and you said big green egg. I mean, nothing draws people in to want to talk to you and want to buy meat than you out there manning a big green egg. Some dad socks on, some jorts. Like I can see it now. Yeah, I can see it now. You're what are those New Balance?
the Velcro ones.
Yeah, close to it, you know.
A pair of sliders over the black socks.
Yep.
Absolutely. I mean, that's who I want to see when I go pull up at the butcher shop to buy meat from.
It's funny, when I was at White Columns, I was the F&B, and Josh was there as the chef, and he made a deal with, I don't know who, a green egg. And next thing I know, they drop off 2 double XL big green eggs. And I mean, you throw 5 prime ribs on that thing. And we cooked, member guest tournament, 120 guys. We cooked off of these eggs because the kitchen was down. We had 3 suckling pigs on this
That's
thing.
awesome.
And,
Yeah.
but we always had them going. We had one at the turn. You had a big green egg at the turn, you're gonna get a burger.
Yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
Oh, I love it.
You know,
I love it.
You're not going to drive by them. So definitely.
That's awesome.
So, what has been your most memorable time in the past 3 years at Agnelli's Meat Market?
There's been a lot of great times. You know, I've talked about, getting to know meeting people where they're coming in all the time. And, and I've heard people say, December 23rd is a great day. And it is, because it's usually your biggest day and it's over, and you just kind of look at your staff and you're just like, what a great month. What a great, this, now we get
Somehow we did it.
It's usually your biggest, but honestly, the most memorable would be, I wouldn't say the first day that I opened, because it's so surreal back then, and you're just sitting there. But after about the first week, I'm going in and I'm unlocking the door, and I'm like, this is mine. And then you realize you're smiling, and I'm sitting there, and we're not crazy busy, but open a week. And so I'm sitting there kind of by myself, and I'm looking around like, this is mine. And because you think about it for years, you want to open your own place, but for it to actually happen, and all of a sudden I'm sitting in it, and it has happened. And I was like, and this, I'm the boss. Like, I'm in charge of the success or failure of the place. And I was just sitting there by myself, and I'm smiling, and I'm thinking, man, this is great. And that,
I love it.
That was
Awesome.
I'll never forget that. I don't care if I open 10 of these things. You'll never forget, sitting there like that, and what it took to get there. Building the place out. I had 2 different contractors come in, took all the measurements, what we're going to do, and then ghost me. And I mean, I'm just trying to get somebody in to build the place out. And so we finally got open, and I'll tell you, it's pretty years of thinking about it to actually, have it done. That was the most memorable. It was pretty amazing.
You say that, and that reminds me of, I have a picture somewhere. It was my first day after walking away from the corporate world, and I was catering, and I was out there getting, actually I wasn't even catering. I was trying to get the smokehouse finished so I could open my commissary kitchen to run my food truck. And you say that, and I think that looking back on it, every morning I get up and I remember that feeling, because like I'll go to bed at night and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And I'm sure you've had this feeling too. You're like, there's no way I'm going back in that place again. Like I'm done. I'm done. And then as you wake up the next morning, you're getting dressed, and you've got like both my kids work here and all, and it's their life. It's not just my livelihood. It's everybody else's livelihood in here. And I guess that's what keeps me driven, just like you, like your boys come in there and help you. And
Yep.
we were talking about that. You have a 10-year-old running the cash register, and
Yeah. Well, he can't make no money on Fry. He's got to be on the register. That's where the money is, Dad.
that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
But it's teaching him a little responsibility, but watching him be like very methodical and sign this, would you like this here? And then thanking people and asking them to come back, and getting that just part of his, because they're 10, you got to be like, hey, say thank you.
Yeah.
Say please, say thank you. And then having my 15-year-old being back there, and he's like, I'm teaching him how to cut ribeyes, and he wants to learn. And he's like, oh, this wasn't good. I'm like, dude, you've cut 2 ribeyes in your life. I've cut 1,000. Like, you're doing great. Just
Guess what? It's going to be ground up. It's
Yep.
going to be fine. You mess it up, it's going to be fine.
and then he learns the recipe,
Mhm.
and then he knows it. And then I'm like, hey, I need you to do the porcini rub. He's like, okay. And he does it, and he's like, how much in? Do him up, weigh him up like this, and put him. Okay, and then he knows something, and then he comes in the next time and learns something else, and and he can cook. So it's fun. And when Krista, my wife, she'll come in. I'll be like, hey, you come in on Saturday? I'm by myself. And the place was really set up so that I could run it Like if nobody showed up, which happens, I'd be okay. Tougher now that I have the sandwiches going, but I just like, hey, by myself, you come in with me today? She's like, sure, bring the boys. And what could be better,
Yeah.
We sit there and the whole family's there. And we're just, I don't know, what could be better than that?
I tell you what, I think it runs better when you're by yourself with your family. Like everybody has that vested interest.
Yep.
And all, and not knocking anybody, not knocking a staff member or a team member or something like that. But I mean, it's just something about being a business owner and having your family right beside you. Like it's
100%. And on that point else, you have to have the right people. And when I used to be a chef, I used to think it took at least 12 to 18 months to find a good crew. And when I opened the place, one of my friends came to me and he had a stepdaughter. He's like, she, I think she worked at Wilkes at one point, but she's looking for a job. And so I hired her on. And anyone that's been in the shop knows Sophie. Sophie was with me from day one. And Sophie finally, after 2 years, went away to college this year. But you say vested in it, like, as a family. And Sophie became family. And she was so vested in the place. Like she would get excited when we were having busy days. And we would hit record numbers. She was excited as any one of us. And then the next thing she says, hey, my sister, she wants the job. And next thing you know, I've got both, the sisters working there and they're both vested in it. And I got really lucky. I had a gentleman call me and he's just like, I'm stay-at-home dad. And I got out of the corporate world, made some money there, but I just, I worked at Publix and cut meat a little bit, but you need help because I literally live 3 minutes down the road. I was like, yeah, and he comes in, big long beard and Star Wars t-shirt. And we just talked a little bit, I'm not giving SQ2s to people. I'm just,
that's right.
And he said, you need me to cut the beard? I was like, does it look like I need you to cut the beard? Well, he's been with me probably since about, I don't know, the third month.
That's awesome. I love it.
Again, vested, like he cares about what the customer's experience, but he cares about the shop and like what, he's like, I just want to make sure, you guys make money and I can't stress enough. It's so tough to find somebody that you trust with that. And honestly, with the cash register, and I've been lucky enough to find people that cash register would be wide open. Somebody could come in and drop off $100 and say, here, I leave this for Paul. And I'd never know about it. And I would never even be concerned about that. And that's tough to find. And to have multiple people like that, I've been really, really lucky to have people that are as vested, I think, as I am. And, it's become part of the family.
I love it.
I do too. I can't stress enough how lucky I've been with all the people that have worked there.
I love that because I'm the total opposite. Like I have my core group of people that I trust and everything, but then like my kids will tell you that I'm not allowed to hire anybody. Because I will hire somebody just to see the shit show that's going to go on. Like sometimes you just have to, you have to, change things up a little bit. Like I tell everybody, my latest one was I had a guy come in and he had on sweatpants, Nike. He had on sweatpants, Velcro shoes, and a Def Leppard t-shirt, probably mid to late 50s, early 60s. Looked like he went by Goodwill and got him a sport coat to come in and apply. Had a printed resume. That was where I was like, hey, I'll give him a try.
Sure.
Like, yeah, rolled up in a minty Earnhardt edition Monte Carlo. And, first day at work, showed up with a satchel with his own, like I was hiring him for dishes, satchel with his own apron and gloves in it and his own scrubbies. Like,
I mean, he's invested.
He's invested, but he was horrible. Like he made it about a week and a half. And
that's not bad.
Not bad. But it's when I see things like that. Now my son's just as guilty. We hired a guy that looked like Debo off of Friday, so he went and found a Schwinn trike to buy him so he'd have a way to get to work. Canton PD's calling me like, hey, we're gonna we're going to kill you because this guy's blocking Railroad Street doing donuts in the middle of the road on his trike and all. So yeah. Yeah. But no, in all seriousness, I laugh, but like you can't make up the stories, from the restaurant world, from any small business world. It doesn't have to be restaurants. It could be any small business. You're going to have those people you got to love them. They're what makes you humble
Breaks
every
the
day.
monotony.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Absolutely.
Even if you didn't need the monotony broken, it's going to break the monotony.
If you're hearing stories of someone says, "So I'm in the food service business," you're like, "Well, buckle up."
God bless you. And I can only imagine the stories you could tell us. We could probably sit here for hours.
Not on camera.
Actually, Paul's wife told him he had to behave tonight, and that we weren't going to get canceled. She wasn't worried about me and Cam getting canceled.
No.
It was Paul getting canceled, and he's done good.
I think he's done real well.
Yeah, he's done real well.
Dropped one F-bomb. She's into marketing, and she was just. I was kind of telling her, well, if they ask me this, I'm going to say because these people are idiots. And she says, you can't call anybody an idiot. I said, it's not my customers. And she goes, you can't, no, just, and I just picture her, listening to this. Like I said, if she had been here tonight, she'd be standing right there, pointing at me every time you ask me a question. Like,
don't do it.
I can see it in your eyes. Don't. So, but she's, I tell you, she's amazing.
God bless them because
She's
all of them
amazing.
put up with all of us.
Right.
And all. So how can people find you?
5060 Sugar Pike, which is just off of Lower Union Hill. It's in the little strip. You have Union Hill Grill. You have us. We're right on the corner. Signs on both sides of the building, so you can see us. And you can find us at agnellismeatmarket.com. You can reach me, Paul, at agnellismeatmarket.com that way. But if you look, you can find us on Facebook. We do Monday and Saturday 10 to 4, Tuesday through Friday 10 to 6.
Okay.
We recharge the batteries on Sunday. But again, if you need something, and this is one of the things I really love, you say neighborhood butchers, if you're running late, call us. If I'm there, Brad's there, we'll stick around. They're like, hey, I'm running late. I'm in traffic. I'm not going to get there till 20 after 6 or so. I'm like, what do you need? I'll have it ready for you. Don't worry.
Awesome.
It's like, I'm here cleaning.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Lock you out? So that's one of the things I have friends in Woodmont, and they'll be like, hey, what time do you close today? I was like, 2 hours ago. And they're like, oh man. It's like, what do you need? And I was like, we were hoping to get some strips for tonight. I was like, I'll meet you over there in 3 minutes. I was like, well, have you been drinking? It's like, oh, we've been drinking since we got off the course. I'm like, what do you need? I'll just bring it over, and
you can't beat that. You can't beat that service right there.
Right. So yeah, that's one of the things we wanted to do though. So
I love it.
I love it too.
A mobile butcher.
I love what I do there. It's I couldn't be happier. When I say I love going into work, when I leave, I'm smiling. I am. So
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
yep, good stuff.
Well, man, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, sir. I
really
totally
enjoyed
enjoyed this, and what an amazing story, and what a gem for Cherokee County. Not just Cherokee County, North Georgia.
Yeah.
Like he's right there close to Alpharetta, right there close to Cumming. So if y'all are in the market for needing a swing by a butcher shop, hit up Paul. Like I know he's killing it. If you need lunch over there, if you're out there working, work from home, I'm sure there's a lot of Woodmont people that work from home.
There is.
Or that are on the golf course that swing by and get a sandwich.
Yep. I get people, come in and like, well, how would you cook it? That might be my favorite question.
Yeah.
Well, here's a few ways that which direction you want to go. And that's fun. Cause once you get me talking on food, I'm done. I will talk and like you shouldn't have got me going. Just go ahead, take your food and go. That's 4 recipes. No, I will keep going if you don't leave. So,
any holiday specials coming up?
yep. Kristen's just finishing up the Thanksgiving flyer.
Okay.
We're going to do a Thanksgiving package with choice herb roasted turkey, or probably do my porcini rub on a prime rib, and then a list of sides as a package, and then we'll have a la carte sides, and then we'll go from there. We'll probably offer something similar, honestly, at Christmas, although Christmas is more tenderloin prime rib.
Crown roast.
Yeah. I don't get a lot of crown roasts. I only had a couple.
I think people just are missing out.
I tell you though, the turkeys we get in the fresh, never frozen birds for Thanksgiving. And I remember one year the turkey market was really high a couple years ago, and people were like, "Are you for this much for a turkey?" And I was like, "It's a good, trust me." And they came back in and like, "I'll never get another turkey." Like, that was unbelievable.
Yeah,
and it lives up to it, So, so yeah. But what I would also tell people is, please come in and ask us if there's something you want. We can only keep so much stuff in the cases, and certain things they don't move a lot. But if you come in, if you talk to me by 4:00. 95% of the time I can have it there the next day. And I'd love bringing that stuff in. And then, you only need 2 pounds. I'm going to sell the other 8 or whatever. People will buy it. So if there's something you want, please come in and ask us if you don't see it. And we are happy to oblige.
Heck yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
That's what I love. Well, guys, thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night.
See you next week.